You're listening to the ASQ Podcast for a transformational approach to life and leadership, blending soul wisdom with modern insight to create outer impact. Hello, Anna. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's so good to have you on the ASQ Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Really, I'm excited to speak with you.
Oh, me too. Me too. I can't wait. So let's get into it, right? Because every second counts. All right.
Literally.
So literally, and I want to hear everything. So it really counts for me. All right. So the first thing that we always ask on all of our shows is, where were you pitched? So where were you born? Where do you come from? What is your family structure like? Tell me all
Okay.
about it.
Midwest kid, born in Cleveland, Ohio. Youngest of three children, at least for a while. Very typical, I think Midwest family. My dad was in sales and my mom was a homeowner and home
Maker.
worker,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
homemaker.
Homemaker.
There
Yeah.
we go. See, I don't even use those terms anymore.
I
So
know. I know.
worked a little
She
bit, but
she had her own job though.
she definitely had her own job. Loved it. It was wonderful and got uprooted at about 9 years old. My family moved out to California, Southern California. And I would have liked to have stayed, but there you go.
Right.
Uh, very traditional background. I don't know why I'm saying this, but kind of children should be seen and not heard. You kind of stay in the background. That's the era for me
I
when
get it.
when
Yeah. I
I
mean,
grew up. So
we're in a, yeah, same.
okay, yeah. I mean, so opinions and what you wanted, and where you wanted to go was, I was like, oh, that's good, but there was really no focus on that. It was, work hard, and so I learned all of those fundamentals. Work was really important. Doing your best was important. My dad was amazing at customer service, and fortunately, I got that from him, that side from him. So,
Nice.
yeah,
Personable.
yeah. I'm
I feel
sorry?
like when you're in customer service, you need to be personable. So
Yeah, oh,
that's
very.
the feeling I get from you. You're just very friendly and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's about service. It's about
Yeah.
giving. It's about problem solving
Hmm.
and helping, your client, with what it is that they have to do, and that served me really well,
Okay.
in so many ways. So, grew up out in here and I'm back in Southern California, which I'm surprised at, but it's where I need to be. Went to college here and then moved to Colorado because I wanted seasons again and some weather, and so I'm kind of I'm an explorer by nature.
Oh, nice. I
I
love
I
Colorado. Colorado's beautiful.
It's so
Where in
gorgeous.
Colorado?
I lived in Denver, but then I ended up working all over the state and Wyoming and a little bit of Nebraska and a
Okay.
little bit of Kansas and stuff as a sales manager. So, uh,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, yeah,
So back in Southern California.
back in Southern California, yeah, but that came after 2 or 3 other transition well, actually, I came back here and then went to San Francisco and then had an interesting life crisis that took me up to Washington State, and then ultimately now I've ended up back here. So as I say, I'm kind of a rolling stone and an explorer.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when did you I mean, you said that you had a crisis. Was this something that caused you to pivot
Oh,
in terms of what you thought you were doing, or what was that call for you?
major life pivot,
Oh,
major
tell
life
me.
pivot. I had always wanted to live in San Francisco. Even from when I went to college, it was like, do I go to San Diego? No, I could turn right, but I went with my friends, went south. So ultimately, I had an opportunity to do that, and loved it. My intuition guided me to a job that I didn't think was really going to be the right one. It wasn't as big as I wanted, it wasn't as involved as I wanted, but I kept leaning toward it when I saw it, and I thought, "I'd just go interview." And I ended up taking it thinking it was gonna be a temporary job, and it turned out to be one of my best jobs, one of my favorite jobs, And after about 7.5 years, the industry changed and I was laid off. That
What was it?
things were shifting.
You
It was in the broadcasting industry. It was when FCC changed a lot of the rules. We were a media brokerage firm. So
okay,
it was, the work that we had, a lot of the work that we had just, it wasn't happening the same way. So, but
gotcha.
simultaneously, and within about a month, the home that I co-owned with someone, we ended up in a legal dispute. And very not pleasant situation, and ended up in mediation. So all of a sudden, this beautiful, wonderful life that I had got my dream Victorian in San Francisco, and life was great, wonderful friends. And then the job ended, and I end up in this messy legal thing with the co-owner on this home that I just loved. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? What is this? With I've studied meditation and worked in, spiritual studies, and learned how to use my intuition early on. And all I could think is, okay, you've got to go sit on the top of a mountain and meditate, get clear, get some peace, some quiet, figure out what the universe is driving me to do here, because this was a major implosion.
Right.
So all right, that's it. I had to find a job. I had, lawyers to deal with, but it was like, no, I need to find some clarity, and then I can deal with all of this. Well, within a day and a half, my cousin called, who was also very spiritually, minded and on the same bench as I, called and said, I'm going to India to an ashram. Would you like to come? It was like
What?
within 2 weeks. And it was like, rational mind is like, well, no, you need the job. You need to deal with this mess. And I'm like, oh, okay, heck no, I'm going to India,
Right, right.
started doing the shots at and the ashram at that point, they thought was going to be up on the top of a mountain. So I'm like, okay, you asked to be on top of a mountain to meditate. What's better to an ashram in India? And I'm like, okay, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what it is. So I
Wow.
went and had an amazing 3-week adventure in India. Just absolutely loved it. Now, ended up not being on top of a mountain because of a diphtheria breakout, actually, but it
Oh,
was amazing. Just still an amazing adventure. And I
wow.
came back
Sounds
with clarity. I didn't get the whole picture. In my life, I get to see about 3 feet ahead of me. And, as long as I trust those 3 feet are taking me in the right direction, then I've learned to have faith and step into that. So, okay, I'm moving. And as much as I loved San Francisco and I loved that house, it was, let's resolve that. And I was being called emotionally and I think geographically to the Northwest. So
mm.
I sold my house in San Francisco, and the job is already gone.
Yeah, yeah.
And I moved up to Washington State and bought a house, and like, okay, God, now here I am. Now what do I do? Let's figure out what's next. So I'm painting the house and just doing that. Again, kind of giving myself some open space and open time
Uh-huh.
to think about what I wanted. Somewhere around that time too, I had read a book, um, Cheryl Richardson, sorry, had said, if you're in a time of chaos or confusion, and you're not sure what to do, ask your friends and family who know you really well. Ask them 2 questions. One, what do you think I love? And what do you think I'm good at? And
Huh,
those were very powerful, and I use them with my clients too, because especially I think as women, we tend to disavow and dismiss the things that just we're innately good at. Oh, that's
yeah,
just something I do. It's not
yeah,
necessarily something of value.
right.
So that was impactful. Travel was the first thing everybody that knows me. Oh, you love travel. You're like, yes, I know that. But there were a couple of other things. But in contemplating, and I had just been to India, I loved it.
Yeah.
I decided to start an import business, never having done that before. So it's like,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, nothing close to what I'd done, but I love travel and I loved India, and I'd been in sales and sales management, and I'd done some marketing and I had done events. So I thought, okay, I could, wholesale and do trade shows and do that. So I felt confident and I felt that
Wow.
that was the right thing to do. What was interesting is a couple of the people that answered the "What do you think I'm good at?" said, "Oh, you're so good at accessorizing, your clothing and your house." And yeah. I was so dismissive. Borderline being rude. It's like, "Thank you so much, but give me something I can use. Come on, this
All
isn't
right.
helping me."
Yeah.
Until I got to India on my first buying trip, and I started looking at what am I interested in? What do I wanna buy? And every shop and every street vendor and any place that had handbags and jewelry and scarves and small furniture, I made a beeline to, and it oh, this is how that ties together. So this
Wow.
ability or interest that I have in, fashion accessories and decorative accessories, this is it. So I go, "Oh, that's what I'm gonna wholesale." So
Okay.
that kind of started, but I ended up doing that for about 8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when because you're saying it like it's like no big deal, and it's because you've lived it, right? But what a calling to that's a major pivot. I'm just gonna
Big major pivot.
do this exodus, which is that's normal. That's a good it's part of the process, right? If we answer that call, if we decide, okay, we're gonna go after this, and you knew that you needed that
Yeah.
solitude, that
That was key. That was
yeah,
absolutely key.
because it allowed you to process and sort of get your bearings for you to
Mhm.
come back and do what you did, which is go into something that you didn't even who would have known that you were gonna do import? Like,
No.
that's and then have the confidence to do it and carry it out and be successful at it for 8 you said 8 years, right? That's
Yeah.
quite a long
Yeah.
time. So,
You know,
do you do you think that there was anything in your, sort of like your in your background that gave you that confidence? Like, your that where did that sense of self come from? Because that's such a like, seriously, it's like, I
I
thought you were gonna
know.
say something else, but you said import, and I'm like, "What? Okay."
I know,
Not a
it's like,
bad
"What?"
thing. Not a bad thing at all, but, like, you know nothing about it, and
No,
this is what you're
nothing,
gonna do, and you have the confidence. So what do
nothing.
you think you can attribute that to, or was it just your intuition? Is this just you were just going with that?
It was largely intuition, but I'd done a variety of different things in my past. When I first moved to Colorado, I took a job in sales. I'd never done that before. I learned things there, and then I just all of the things that I'd done, all the goofy little part-time jobs in college and in between the big jobs, it all filled my toolbox. So I
Yeah,
felt comfortable with that, having at least a foundation of that. But honestly, it was having worked with and used my intuition for so many years already. I knew to trust it. It has never once led me down a wrong
right,
path.
right,
So that calling to literally do a radical move, I'd done that before. I'd moved to Colorado without knowing anybody and
okay,
then back to California. So that comes naturally to me. That's why I say I call myself an explorer. My friends are gobsmacked. They don't, how do you do that? It's just in me. And
yeah,
I'm not, it's just part of my nature and part of my personal DNA.
yeah, I
Starting a
love
new
it.
business, it was a leap of faith, and it's what I felt called to do.
Mm,
And it was intuition guiding me and me checking in, does this feel right? And how do I do this? And connecting with the right people that were able to help me in India. And I was importing from fair trade and women owned businesses, which spoke to my heart.
okay,
So helping the community, helping, women that, literally in small neighborhoods in New Delhi mostly raise their family and be able to stay home and still take care of their kids. They were in turn providing jobs for people around them. And so
right,
that was very soul satisfying. It was
okay,
hard. I won't say it wasn't. It was really difficult
right,
because I had to learn it was like getting a master's, but just figuring it out on my own, which is not necessarily the the way I would suggest, but it was what it was what
Yeah.
I felt was right for me to do
Right.
at that time. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
what's next? Because I feel like that's not the end of your
Oh,
your calling.
no, there've been a couple other in between. This is kind of this pattern of my life. I mean, even from the time I was really young, I was, "What am I here for?" It sounds corny, but I really was I felt, "I'm here to do something." I don't know what it is. But and I've had major moments of anxiety about what is it? How am I going to find out? I remember even talking to my mom at one point. She goes, I can't wait to see what it is because I was like in tears. Mom, what am I doing here? And that was not long after I'd moved to Colorado. I knew that was the right move, but it's like, okay, there's something. I felt
Right.
like in a way I was kind of chasing this purpose a little bit.
Mhm.
And as it kind of evolved, I realized that I was so interested, and I love learning from biographies. How did you figure it out? And in 2016, thought, okay, I'm just going to find out, and I started interviewing women on how they found their purpose. And it's the most wonderful interviews. You know
I'll
how
bet.
how it can be,
Yes.
and just talking, 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 and you know, did it come from? Did they know in high school? I think that I have a theory that I think we all have something in us early on that is kind of there, waiting to be
Mhm.
bloomed.
Mhm.
Blossom
I
out
agree.
and
Yeah. We
and
actually talk about
birthed.
that. Yeah. Yeah, 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 because I think what happens is and specifically for women, because that's what the what who I speak to, and that's more, that's my focus. I feel like what happens to us, and maybe you'll agree, is that we end up going through life and labels are now applied, and those labels tend to define us,
Yeah,
and that's who we believe we are. We believe we're just a mom. We believe we are a CEO, or we
yeah.
believe these things, and these labels are what define us. That's our identity, but that's not really who we are.
Exactly. Or it's who we're
That's what you're saying,
supposed to be.
or
It's
who we're supposed to be.
how we're supposed to be. It's like,
Yeah.
studying philosophy in college. Oh, well, you can't do that for a living. What are you really going to study? The parental kind of thing, or being an art.
Yes.
That's so true with artists. It's like,
Yeah.
how are you going to make a living doing that? Yet you have these passions
Yeah.
and these feelings that come up. And interestingly, what I started to realize that figuring out what our passion is was my passion.
That's
It's like,
crazy.
oh, let me help other people figure out how to do this. And I had done training and I've done a little bit, coaching and stuff through the years with sales and various things. And I thought, no, I want to do that. And I like writing. And let's just ask. So I interviewed a number of women at that point. Then I had a health adventure and, then COVID came and other bumps in the road. And I loved this last job. I really did. I loved most of the people that I worked with, and I'd been there like 9.5 years. And it was fantastic. It gave me all kinds of benefits, but it became extremely toxic with just based on a couple of people, mostly just a small group that just was not good. And it was starting to affect my health again. And I
Oh,
thought,
wow.
no, I do not want to have another, major health adventure.
Right.
So, time to do something. And it took a while for me to make the decision, but it was a leap of faith. It was like, no, no, you have to do this for yourself. You have to take care of yourself
Mhm.
first, because I knew it was not the place for me. It was hard to let go of it because I was identified with it. And I did love most of what I was doing.
Mhm.
And I needed breath. Again, it was kind of like I need to go sit on a mountaintop. Although this time I rented my house out, put all my furniture in storage, and I wanted to do this too because the travel thing. And I'd been doing a lot of travel, but I took off and went to Europe for 3 months and
Oh,
by
wow.
myself
Wow.
and just, spent like 3, 4 weeks in each place so I could really get familiar and comfortable with it, with each place and feel like I knew it.
Mhm.
and came home and just before New Year's, and then took off and went to New Mexico for a couple of months because I'd never been there. So this was all places I hadn't been before,
Right.
for the most part. And uh, during that time and the time since then, it's just become super clear. It's like, this is your time. If not now, when?
Right.
And
So let
this,
me let me stop you for 1 second because I wanna
yes,
make sure that I wanna get this timeline. So you go into let's start with the import. You did the import business completely, like, radical, like, different thing. You do it, you're pretty successful at it, but are you while you're doing this business, are you feeling like, "Well, I'm not sure this is" like,
yeah,
are you having those moments, that voice that's telling you, "Okay, something's gotta give, something" are you feeling that?
I was. I
Okay.
was. I was really efforting. And when you're following my experience, when I'm really following clearly my path, it's not effort. It's not a lot of effort. And
Okay.
I was really forcing this kind of
Right.
to keep going. And
Right.
you throw this little wrench in. This was another big sign that I didn't pay attention to. My first buying trip, I was due to come home on September 12th from India, and I couldn't because of 9/11.
Oh,
So business had been great, industry was great, sales were great, the economy was booming, and I came back to start an import business as everything was imploding. All the
wow.
boutiques, all the shops, the kind of things that I would sell to were all closing up. Were all closing up. So I'm swimming upstream, literally trying to keep this business going. So yeah, I will, I can say in retrospect, and I kind of knew even in the middle of it, but I should have let go of it
Wow.
long before I
Okay.
did, because
So
I
were there
was fighting it. Yeah.
right, right. So when you then fast forward to what you're sharing now about the going to Europe and whatnot, did you because you've already gone you've done the exodus, you went
Yeah.
into isolation, so to speak, to try to figure out what your purpose is, right? What you're supposed to be doing. You follow your intuition by going off to do this. So you do it again by going to Europe. Did you
I
discover something different this time around than you did the prior times that you
I
did that?
I think I just got clearer because I had already started exploring helping others find their purpose
Right.
in 2016, and
Yeah.
that didn't leave me. That did
Okay.
not
Okay.
leave. I that had still been, and actually, oh my gosh, when I had a blip back to Orange County to Southern California at one point, I was even thinking, "Oh, my book will be called On Purpose." So
Oh,
it's been there. That was like
okay.
3 years ago. And
Okay.
so that's been there, and my business name is Journey to Purpose. So
Nice.
I've held that, and like I said, even as a kid, it's like, "What am I here for? Why am I doing this?" So it's been calling, but I've been self-supporting. So, you have to have the job and you're doing this and you're busy with life.
Mhm.
So what I realized, and this was true in my own case, is that we get busy. The first half of our life, we're getting educated and we're getting our feet wet in the industry and we're starting families, we're building a home, or we're doing all of those things. But when we start getting to midlife, which is where I was when I did the major exodus from San Francisco to Washington, it's like, okay, there's going to be something else.
Right.
There's something else.
You're
And I
speaking my language now.
yeah. Yeah, that I know there's an old song from the '40s, "Is that all there is?" And it's like, not to dismiss, because I had an amazing life before
Right.
then and since, but I knew, this just kept bubbling up, and I finally like, when are you going to listen to this? When are you
Right.
going to do this? You've been asking about this. And I fell back into, yeah, what I'm really passionate about is intuition and visualization. And that has gotten me through so many amazing situations in my life, healed me from my little medical issues. And that's what I want to, that's what I want to do. And it's time to give back. So I'm working mainly with midlife and beyond, because I'm a perfect example of it is never too late to take
Right.
another shift ever. And there's so many examples of famous people who didn't get famous until 50, 60, 70.
Of course, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
when it's time, when you're ready to let that inner calling bloom and blossom and grow, then go for it. You
Right.
go for it. So that's what I'm doing.
That's today. I think it's
That's what I'm doing
amazing
today.
that I have a lot of respect for somebody who's so, has the courage to just go off and do these things and allow, the perspectives to become clearer about what it is that your
Yeah,
purpose is, right? Because we think our purpose is this, then we move forward and we think it's that. And that true calling, what your intuition had always been telling you,
right.
from what I can gather from our conversation, is
Yes.
this isn't it. And you need to clear things out so you can hear what I'm
Right.
trying to say.
A
So
and
talk to me about that intuition.
yeah.
It comes to like you, so now you've discovered that this is your purpose. How did you integrate that into what you're doing? Like you just quit and you just started doing this and that was it? Like how did that unfold for you?
Well, yeah, I quit, and then it's like I need the time. Again, it said I need to go to the mountaintop. It doesn't have to be a mountaintop. It could be walk around your neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's I highly recommend it, but it's not for everybody. Um, Having space, and that's the key, and to opening up to intuition, to learning to listen to that and recognize what that calling is. You need to find quiet time. You need to have some opportunity, even if it's, 5 minutes before you jump out of bed in the morning, to just be still with yourself and learn to quiet the chaos, the chatter, turning down the volume really of the rational mind. I've got to get up and do this. I have to do this. Or, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, to quiet that down and like what's bubbling? What is that I kind of heard, but I really wasn't paying attention to. I don't think I had the courage when I was younger to really go, whoa, I'm going to do this. And I think I needed more life experience for my own sake, of making these leaps of faith is really the only thing I can call it. But
Mhm.
I've learned through the process, my intuition's always been right for me. It has always been right. And so it's still a leap of faith because I don't have an employer. I'm self-employed now, and I don't have that safety net, if you will.
Right.
So it's having a little bit of courage, but trusting. The more you learn to recognize the calling or the way intuition is guiding us, then easier it becomes to trust it. And that's part of the process, recognizing it. Test it. I tested it early on. I mean, years and years ago. It's like, I don't know, is this real? And it was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And so, I slowly built up a very, very solid trust and faith. And if this is what I'm being guided to do, then I'm going to trust that because it's never failed me yet. And I incorporate that in my coaching. It's a huge part of, one of the modalities that I use in coaching. That and visualizing, sensory imagination to create. Then you get the vision, but then it's like, now what do I do with this? You know,
Right.
I know
So talk
there's something more, but
Right. Talk to me more about that, what you're doing today then, since so you've gone through all these I mean, I'm
oh,
like
yeah.
doing
Oh,
this
I
because
call
you've
my
done
life
a
a
lot of
roller
that.
coaster. Yeah,
Right. And
absolutely.
it's interesting that you even early on felt this
Yeah,
nagging,
right.
the intuition, you've always
Did.
been pretty connected with that. And how you're like a prime example of somebody who, because I think we all have intuition, right?
We all do. Absolutely.
And we stifle that voice
Yeah.
because we need to live by societal standards, right? I mean, for me, let me say it with from my perspective, because that's how it is for me, even still. Sometimes I feel like I'm proving myself or I have to do this because this is what people expect.
That's
So I
right.
love that you kind of allowed these things to happen to you throughout your life to then now arrive at what you know is your purpose. Like, you sound very confident about what you're doing and what you're saying and what your mission is.
Yeah, I finally am, and I know you talk about roadmaps. and moving to new beginnings. And that's one of the things that resonated. I resonated so much with you. I even call our intuition our internal GPS, sometimes our God positioning system,
Yes.
because
Oh,
it really
funny.
is built into us. It's innate in
Right.
every one of us, whether we use it or not. That's our choice, but it's there to guide us, to help us, to move us forward. Rational
Mm,
mind is great. It keeps the trains running. It keeps
right.
us on track. It keeps us organized. But our inspiration, our creativity, our bliss, in my experience, comes from that inner knowing, from that intuition, from that higher calling, if you will,
Yeah. That's
that
beautiful.
is always speaking to us, in
Mhm.
small ways. It helps me streamline my errands. I'm just like, oh, wait, oh, yeah. You're walking out the door. Oh, I forgot my keys. Well, was that your rational mind? No, that's your intuition. It's like, hey, forgot your keys.
Yeah. Right. So talk to me about what you do then. What are you doing today? Not today, but you know
N
what I mean.
Other than having a wonderful
Currently.
conversation with you, um, I decided the best way that I could do this is to give back, is to start sharing from all of these crazy life experiences that I've had. So I've started a coaching business and am working primarily with midlife and beyond because beforehand we're busy with life, we're busy with getting settled. But I think in so many of us, if not all of us, midlife things start to quiet down. Maybe the kids are out of the house, or you've done the career and you're like, oh, that was good, but there's another career for me, or there's something else. And it's the opportunity, it's an opening to go in through another door and explore maybe something that's been sitting there, like me, since you were young, that didn't seem practical, or it didn't make sense, or it was kind of, well, you should be doing that, you shouldn't be doing that, those things that it's how we are in life. And just following through on that. So that's what I'm doing, coaching, helping people figure out, first of all, what that is. And
Mhm.
a lot of that is like, start listening to intuition, start paying attention to those little inner callings. What
Mhm.
did you love when you were a kid? What brings you joy? What kinds of things, doesn't matter if they seem practical.
Right.
Mine certainly wasn't practical. Let's take off and travel, or start a business. That was not practical, but it's what felt right.
Yeah.
So, the more you do these things, the more confidence that they get. So, it's like having somebody to kind of say, okay, I'm not going to let you fall. Let's take this journey, but I'll be there next to you in case the road gets narrow. Help you
Right, right,
figure
right.
out what those next 3 feet are in their lives. So, and then as I mentioned, we use intuition. Then because intuition speaks to us through our senses, I use a lot of sensory imagination. So to help create the life you want. Once you have the idea, it's like, oh, this is great. Now what do I do with it?
Uh,
So you start finding ways to create it. And we know words have power and our emotions have power. And the more we can clearly see and focus on where we want to be as if we're already there, it's a streamlining to creating and reaching our dreams and our goals. So it's a process.
I
It's a
love it.
process, but it's exciting. It's
It sounds exciting. I love it. It sounds like you've had an exciting life.
It's it it's funny because my brothers have both I call them escalator lives. Mine has been like Magic Mountain, kind of roller coaster, but I wouldn't have been happy on the escalator. It's not who I am, and it's been
Yeah.
perfect for them.
Yeah.
So, we have to find our own path, what speaks to us, and again, listening to our ourselves, and just quiet time, walk in nature, take a long bath, float in water. Oh, there have been so many literal scientific discoveries had been made while people are in the bathtub or in the shower, and right,
Yeah.
because you're quieting all that crazy
Yeah.
stuff, and you start hearing yourself, your inner calling, if you will.
Right. Right. No, that's awesome. So if
Yeah,
somebody wanted to connect with you and get to know more about what you're doing and
yeah.
stay connected, what would they do?
They can reach me through my website, which is journeytopurpose.org. And I'm offering a intuition tracking sheet if they want to start just making note, because it happens. Maybe you have an intuitive thing one moment, 2 days later you go, you don't even remember it. So when you're really getting to be familiar and learn to recognize that intuitive voice in you, sometimes it helps to just jot it down. Oh yeah, that happened, and it came through a gut feeling. I just knew I shouldn't be there, or gee, I heard that little voice in my head saying, "Oh, you forgot your keys."
Yeah.
Any of those little things, and it just helps reinforce it. Yeah, how intuition is speaking to you and what. I offer that, but I also do speaking and one-on-one coaching, and so they can reach me through the website.
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Well, thank
yeah.
you so much,
Oh,
Anna, for being with me today. This was like it feels like it was brief, but we've been talking for a little bit here, but I feel like um the fact that you're speaking to our audience. This is exactly what we do on the ASQ podcast is we talk to people who
yeah,
are in their midlife and who are getting those nudges or feeling like life is just not fitting. And it is funny that you've had those different, you know, moments and you pivoted and tried something new, but that wasn't what it was, even though you went that way. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And so
It was a good move. It was a good move, and it was what I fell to. I
what you
just stayed
needed.
with it too long, and that's
Right.
human. I'm
Of
far
course.
too human too many times. So, but I'm still learning. I'm still practicing and still
Of
getting better.
course.
So as
And
we
that's the
all
whole
are.
idea of
Yeah,
you're still going through it. So that
yeah.
makes you even more effective, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm
it's wonderful.
hoping some of my lessons and tools that I've picked up along the way and experiences I've had can help many others, as many as I possibly can to find their path,
Yeah,
whatever
I'm
that
positive
is.
that it
Yeah.
will. Yeah. Your
Yeah.
your
Thank
story is a
you.
powerful one. I think it's beautiful that you
Thank you.
listened. Listen finally.
It's about finding quiet time and listening. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's always it's always speaking to us through us.
Thank you for listening to the ASQ podcast. Remember to lead your life, shape your culture, begin within. Subscribe now and join the movement.